Hello.
Alright, my name is Matt Lang.
I'm Kerry, Julvezan.
And we did doing our presentation on the management of campus surplus equipment. And currently Western already has something in the works, and they have an online thing going, but we're just studying that and trying to rework it. Generally speaking, Western has been at the forefront of the sustainability movement for campuses. One of the most noted things is that we were one of the first universities to have a campus-wide recycling program. And since numerous BAs and BSs in sustainable design and other environmental-based programs have been put into place to just keep the ball rolling. What is surplus waste? Surplus waste is basically any item that accumulates when a new batch of items is bought, whether a chair is broken or a desk is broken. If the whole set of equipment is usually replaced because one or two things is broken. So we're trying to look at ways to not have that happen or resell that properly once that does happen.
Alright, so not only does surplus equipment mean broken equipment, but also just excess items. So where does this equipment go? Generally, the equipment inventory department they manage and control all of Western's physical inventory on campus with a actually a very small staff, about 2 people. They're located in the commissary building on South Campus. So when a department has excess equipment that needs to be picked up, the equipment inventory department supplies a pickup request form, and then transport services is the other department that will go and pick up whatever equipment that is, bring it to the equipment inventory department in the commissary, and that's where everything needs to go through and be accounted for. So depending on what that is, usually if it's a short-term storage item where it's going to be traded between other departments or sold on the online auction, which I will get to in a second, it will be stored in the short term in the actual commissary, which is their department building. If it's going to be more of a long-term storage item, it usually goes to the Armory, which is one of Western's properties off campus, which we are also going to talk about in further detail later on, because one of our main focuses for this project has to do with potentially repurposing the Armory. If equipment does not go through the equipment inventory department, it's either recycled or it goes to facilities management, which is the other department that deals with most of the broken equipment that will just go in the dumpster. And so that's another main issue we're trying to deal with, because a lot of stuff is getting unnecessarily thrown out by transport services and facilities management. A lot of it is not necessarily under their control, but we will talk about that. So here's kind of a schematic of an example of where something might go. So try and stay with me if you can. So our example is an office chair. So say the office chair is intact. It is going to go by transport services, it's going to get picked up at the department that requests for it to be picked up, and then it's going to go to the equipment inventory department at the commissary, where if they decide it is worth selling, they will put on the online auction, which I'm going to talk about. Well, if it's not worth selling, it is likely going to be transported to the Armory for long-term storage, basically meaning it's going to sit there until they figure out what the heck where it's going to go, in the trash. If the office chair is missing a wheel, it will still go to the equipment inventory department. They have plenty of resources there, although limited staff, to fix small damages like this, just replacing wheel, little parts, stuff like that. Again, either auction or Armory. If it is really damaged, it might probably won't even go to the equipment inventory department, and it will probably just be thrown in the facilities management dumpster. Hopefully recycled if it can be broken down. If not, it's trashed. Another thing I forgot to mention, the first first, departments get first priority for surplus equipment if need be. So before they're put online to be sold, they will go to other departments on campus if necessary. But let me talk about the online auction. So our current method for selling any surplus equipment is through our online auction, which is a nationwide auction. It's managed by one person in the inventory, or the equipment inventory department. This is Gordon Terman. And it's a nationwide auction open to anybody. Only a handful of items are put on there, mainly because the only ones worth being put on there are bulk palleted items, usually electronics or highly prized items. Otherwise, not so beneficial for the campus to spend time and effort putting these items up on the online auction. But 9 out of 10 times of the items that are put on there, they do get sold. However, one limitation of this website is that when you go on there, it's basically a nationwide program. So you can't actually see what Western has individually put up on the website. And we kind of propose, just for department convenience, when they need extra chairs or some desks, that we could maybe create a separate website just for departments to go on and look what's available in the equipment inventory department and snag a few things there. That isn't necessarily talking about selling items, but at least having a more organized, efficient way for departments to access new equipment without maybe extending out to get brand new equipment when they might not know that that stuff is already available and can be reused. But one of our main focuses for this project is extending the way we can sell equipment, and we want to do this to the local Bellingham community through a surplus store, which has already been implemented in a lot of campuses. So this has been an idea proposed for the past several years. However, it's not really gotten off the ground due to the lack of resources, mainly money, space, and staff. We would like to create generally more awareness about the potential of this store and how it can improve surplus property management and Western sustainability. And currently, the only likely space we have available for this is the Armory, which we'll give you a little bit of history on.
Alright, so as Kerry explained, the Armory probably offers one of the best modes of selling off this surplus equipment. Unfortunately, right now, the Armory though it's been restabilized, is not in the best of condition. Originally, the Armory was built in 1910 by the National Guard, and it was used for, before the war, during war times, as a military training station, and they'd run drills. They had a firing range in the bottom of it, which was one of the harder things to clean up. It was converted to a roller rink in 1953, and that ran for about 20 years until it was bought by Western for $1. Now, Western currently uses it to store large props for theater and other excess equipment. Space administration, facilities management, and inventory reduction departments are the ones that manage this. And though they're in combination with each other, they need to talk and discuss more to try to restructure this. Recently, I think about 2 months ago, a plan was completed. It was an $800,000 plan that restabilized the Armory. Sherry Montgomery was the head of it, and she went in and sealed the windows. They put heaters in the basement, which would reduce the moisture content, and they made sure it was structurally sound for people to enter in. So that was kind of the first phase. More money does need to be put into it before it can be fully functional. Repurposing the Armory to be a multi-purpose facility has been proposed by a lot of people, and that's what we're beginning to realize is probably the best option. The problem with this is it's in a multi-family zoning, which means that it's very prime land for condominiums and apartments, and that would not, what they're trying to do is ensure that this doesn't happen. Washington's Trust for Historic Preservation is an organization that's working with the university, and what they try to do is ensure that historical landmarks or other community assets are not destroyed because of the communal element that they bring. obviously the armory is on that 10 most endangered properties by Washington Trust for Historic Preservation. So basically, when we talked with Tim Wynn, he said the most important thing is to find the right developer. We want to make sure that this doesn't turn into apartments and condominiums. Though it would be nice to house a lot of people, it's not the most sustainable thing to do with this piece of land with where it's at. So a multi-use facility would be the best thing. Tim proposed, and we were in complete agreement with something like a restaurant, a small retail store, and a community theater in cohort with a surplus store would probably be the best use of the space. If you think about it now, currently, North Campus, the closest place to, you have to walk downtown to the Shell station, or like the Up and Up, that's the closest contact that you have, and that's 5 or 8 blocks away, and that just doesn't seem right to me. So basically, not only would this generate income for Western through the sale of the surplus equipment, but we'd also reduce the waste. Like Kerry said, we do have the online website, but this is all bulk palleted items that they're trying to sell off, and we need a way to more sustainably sell off single items or multiple items quickly and efficiently. Reasons for the surplus store: it would create student jobs as well as internships, work-study programs, future campus sustainability classes could work in combination with this to make sure it runs efficiently. And when we did multiple case studies, and all of the universities that we studied, other than the initial startup costs, have been completely able to run sufficient based upon the income that they've generated. UW, who we've talked to, runs a super good, efficient one, has been doing it for 10 years, and they've had no problems, and they're all about the project and think we should be in agreement as well.
All right, so basically the surplus store, we understand it's a very long-term goal and has been proposed repeatedly. But we also want to focus on shorter-term goals, a quick rundown of what we think could reduce our waste in general. Basically, we want to limit the amount of junk we actually are throwing out and putting in the facilities management dumpster. So in general, an excess of reusable and recyclable goods are unnecessarily thrown away in this dumpster. And once in this dumpster, items are legally not permitted to be handled by anybody. This includes the staff there, any old bum off the street. So this is mainly, and the reason that a lot of stuff is getting put in here is mainly due to lack of staff, time, knowledge of the right disposal route for certain items, and lack of resources to recycle certain items. This includes glass, like on window panes where the wood is recyclable, except the glass itself is pretty expensive to recycle right now, as well as certain wood pieces, and then other items that just, they don't have enough time to actually break down. So we kind of just recommend that people be more aware, especially staff, and maybe more people could just get hired on. Maybe students could get involved. We understand there are liabilities there, but just the fact that things should run more efficiently. Maybe even something as simple as putting a sign up on the dumpster there saying what not to put in there, or maybe some more resources to allow for transport services, to have more time to put certain items in different areas and go to the right destination. And then also we talked to the Bellingham Restore, which they take a lot of scrap items as well as whole furniture items, and they did show an interest in potentially looking at certain items that come to facilities management that are in such good shape that can't be put on an online auction or could potentially be sold in an actual surplus store. And they actually take doors, windows, cabinets, lighting fixtures, plumbing fixtures, hardware, framing and finished lumber, molding, flooring, stone, and a lot more. And this information is available on their website. And actually under the Washington Code 236 here, the 4th priority for any surplus equipment can actually, states that it can actually be sold or transferred to public benefit nonprofit corporations. So we believe that the Restore does fit under this law if something were to be worked out here. But that is just another option, and we just